She said, "I need space. I can't keep living off you." So I paid for her U-Haul, watched her leave, then quietly shut down every dollar she used to stand on. Now she's telling everyone I ruined her life while living back with her mom. I'm 34. Not flashy, not loud. My life is quiet by design. Sweatshirts, coffee that comes in bulk, and weekends filled with old records and late-night coding just for fun. I've worked hard to carve out stability, and I've grown to like the solitude that comes with it. 3 years ago, I met Elena. She was 29 then, tagging along with a friend to a party I wasn't even sure I wanted to attend. She was magnetic in a way I wasn't used to, constantly moving, always thinking out loud, pitching ideas to anyone who would listen. The kind of person who makes you feel like maybe you're playing it too safe. We were opposites in many ways, but something clicked. She moved in after about 8 months. We were both hesitant at first, but it just felt right. She hated her job and constantly talked about starting something on her own, something big and meaningful. I admired her drive, even when it lacked a plan. I told her one night over dinner, "If you're serious, quit. Start fresh. I'll cover things until you find your feet." She didn't believe me at first, but I meant it. I paid the rent. I handled her insurance after she lost hers. I helped her set up the business she wanted, covered the branding, even got her a new laptop when hers gave out. She had a lot of ideas and energy, and I wanted to give her the space to grow. I thought that's what love was. I even cleared the last bit of her student loans when she called me crying one night about falling behind. I didn't hesitate. We were building something, right? A life. A future. I wasn't keeping score. But over time, I began to notice that I was the one keeping things standing. She had brilliant ideas, sure, but little follow-through. Weeks would go by where she barely opened her laptop, but she'd be researching the next branding photo shoot or scrolling Instagram for creative inspiration. Still, I didn't push. I figured everyone moves at their own pace. Maybe she was just finding her footing. Then came March. Nothing special about the day. Thursday morning, light drizzle, a regular workday. She seemed off in her texts. Short, distant. That evening, after dinner, she asked if we could talk. She didn't drag it out, just sat on the edge of the couch, looked at me, and said, "I need space. I feel like I've lost who I am in this relationship. I want to stand on my own. I'm moving out." I didn't know what to say. I just asked, "Are you sure?" She nodded, said something about how she felt like she was living off me, and it was starting to make her resent herself and me. That part stung, but I didn't argue. I told her I understood, and in some small way, I did. If she needed to go figure out who she was, I wasn't going to hold her back. So I helped her pack. I booked the U-Haul, gave her $500 to help get set up somewhere new. She cried as she hugged me at the door. I stood there a while after she left. Quiet apartment. Half the shelves empty. No music playing. I told myself she just needed time. At that point, I still believed in her. I still thought she'd find her rhythm, build her dream, and maybe, eventually, circle back to what we'd started. I didn't know what was coming next. The first week without her was quiet. Strangely so. I kept expecting a text, a random meme, or even her familiar voice calling from the kitchen asking where the almond butter went. But it didn't come. Instead, a friend, Brian, sent me something unexpected. It was a screenshot from Elena's Instagram story. She hadn't blocked me, but I'd muted her account a while back during one of her rebrand phases. The post was from Napa Valley. Wine glass in hand, hair done up, laughing. The caption read, "Finally free. Building my life on my terms." Behind her in the shot was someone I recognized. A guy I'd met maybe twice. She always insisted he was just a friend, some photographer she collaborated with. Now, he was pouring her wine with one hand and holding a phone with the other, clearly comfortable. I just stared at the screen. Not angry, not even surprised, really. Just still. You think when a person leaves, they need time. But sometimes they already had somewhere else to land. I didn't call her. Didn't message. I'd made peace with her decision to go, but now I was making a different one. I was done carrying her. The next day, I started going through the list. First, her health insurance, gone. I'd extended it through my private plan. Canceled. Then the shared Apple family plan. Removed her. She had access to all my media, cloud backups, and devices. Gone. I called the bank and deactivated the business credit card I'd added her to. It was only meant for supplies or software, but the purchases had gotten fuzzy. Uber Eats, art prints, cosmetics for the brand. That was no longer my concern. Then the monthly transfer $1,200 I had set up as her launch runway. Canceled with one click. The last one was the laptop. I'd bought it outright, but registered it under her for warranty support. I called and had the extended plan switched back under my name. Petty? Maybe. But it was never a gift with no strings. It was a tool for building something together. If that vision was gone, so was the tool. I didn't make a post about it. Didn't tell mutual friends. Didn't send her a cold text or even a passive-aggressive like on her stories. I just disconnected. Quietly, cleanly. 2 days later, she noticed. I got a single text. Hey, did something happen with the card? I'm getting error messages. I didn't reply. A few hours later. Also, the health insurance said I'm not listed anymore. Can you check that? Still nothing from me. By the end of the day. Okay. Look, if you're upset, can we at least talk? This doesn't have to get weird. That's when I muted her number. It wasn't revenge. I wasn't trying to hurt her. I just didn't know her comfort anymore. Not after she told the world she was finally free, while sipping wine with the guy she swore didn't mean anything. She wanted her independence. So I gave her exactly what she asked for. Her life, without my safety net. A few days passed in silence. Then, something new came, not from her phone, but from an unfamiliar email address. A lawyer's letter. Apparently, Elena was now exploring her legal options over what she claimed was an abrupt withdrawal of financial support after years of sustained assistance. She framed it as lost business investment, emotional distress, disruption to her brand. And just like that, the woman I had once paid rent for was now trying to build a case against me. The email wasn't angry. It was polished, professional, and full of vague phrases that sounded carefully rehearsed. Our client is seeking compensation for the abrupt termination of financial support, which has impacted her livelihood and business development trajectory. I read it twice. Then again, slowly. A part of me wanted to laugh, not because it was funny, but because it felt surreal. She wasn't just walking away. She was trying to rewrite the story as if I had damaged her future. I forwarded the email to Diana, my attorney. She's sharp, no nonsense, and has helped me with contracts for years. Her reply came within a day. There is no legal basis here. You were never married. You had no co-ownership of the business. Everything you provided was voluntary and undocumented. She added a final line I won't forget. My client cannot be held liable for refusing to fund a business that never legally involved him. That was it. Legally, it was done. But the social fallout? That was another thing entirely. Seattle's a big city with a small creative scene. People talk. And Elena, she had talked a lot. Apparently, she told her new boyfriend that she had secured private funding from a quiet investor in the city. That investor was me. When I pulled out, the story she'd built around her image, her brand, her business, herself, started unraveling. The first to walk was one of her suppliers. They were already uneasy about her payment schedule, and once they heard from someone in my circle that her numbers didn't add up, they cut ties. Then the co-working space she rented for her creative studio locked her out after 2 bounce payments. Her pitch deck somehow got forwarded to a startup mentor I knew. He flagged it for listing partnerships and projected revenue that simply didn't exist. He quietly told a few others in the local community, and word began to spread. The boyfriend? He lasted another few weeks. But as soon as she needed help with rent or asked him to co-sign something, he disappeared. No big scene, no breakup post. Just gone. I stayed silent through all of it. One day, weeks later, I got a message. This time from her. 3 long paragraphs. She started by thanking me for the support, the belief, everything you did for me. Then she shifted. Said she wished I had handled it differently. That cutting her off felt cold, unnecessary, and spiteful. That I didn't have to make things harder. I stared at the message for a while. Not angry. Not moved either. I didn't reply. What could I say that would matter now? Another month passed. A mutual friend mentioned that Elena had moved back to Spokane to live with her mom. She was working part-time at a boutique. Taking time to realign, apparently. Good. I hope she does. I really do. As for me, I'm fine. Better than fine. I'm rebuilding, not in spite of what happened, but because of it. I've learned that love can't fix someone's lack of direction. That generosity isn't always kindness if it turns into dependency. And that sometimes the best thing you can do for someone is let them face what they chose. I didn't destroy Elena's world. I just stopped holding it up. I still think about her sometimes. Not in anger, just with a quiet, distant understanding. I gave what I could. I gave more than I should have. But I'm not bitter. Just done.